Okay, welcome back everybody. This is Mrs. Bashman, your art teacher, and today we're going to be learning the basics of watercolor paint. So before I get started on some demonstrations, let me talk a little bit about the materials. So most of y'all probably remember using this type of watercolor paint when you were a kid. It's a caked watercolor that's in a dish. You can get it in a pack like that or individually like this. We're going to be using liquid watercolors that come in a tube. They're very small because they're a concentrated paper. You don't need to use a whole lot of this, so just a little bit in your dish is really all you need. And you'll need some watercolor brushes. These can be natural or synthetic hair brushes. It doesn't matter. You just don't want them to be very stiffly bristled. Some paper towels for keeping your brushes clean and dry and for blotting up areas of mistakes, and some water. So we're going to be learning about the 3 different ways to apply watercolor to the paper and the 3 main types of watercolor washes for backgrounds. So the first thing that we're going to do is wet on wet. These terms refer to the brush and the paper. So we have a wet brush on a wet piece of paper. So I'm just dipping my brush into clean water and going over the area that I'm going to paint. You don't want so much water that when you tilt the page it starts dripping down, but you do want to be able to see that there's some water there. Then I'm going to activate my paint. This is just some crimson watercolor here. And I'm just going to apply some paint right there into the water. So instantly you're going to see it's going to start bleeding and moving and shifting. It's going to create a nice fuzzy effect. So for this next box, I'm going to do dry on dry, also called dry brush. Here I'm just filling up my brush with some activated water. Or activated water, you know, the paint's just activated because it's got water on it. And then paint straight on there. So you notice the paint's not moving this time. It's not going anywhere. It's going to stay still. So if you want detail, dry brush is the way to go. Then you can have a combination. So I'm going to put some water on my brush and a lot of paint. I'm going to apply it like that. So I've got broad sweeps where the water is not leaving this S-shaped area, but I have enough water within this area that some of the paint is pooling. And you'll notice as it dries that it's going to be more intense and darker in some of those areas, especially around the edges. All right, so now we're going to apply our paint in a wash. The first thing that we're going to do is a flat wash. For this, we want our area to be evenly coated with water. And our goal is for all of the values to look like they're exactly the same, top, bottom, side to side. We don't want anything to be lighter or darker, so we want to try and get an even coating of paint. So I'm going side to side with my brush, and you notice it starts to get lighter as I get further down here. So I'm going to reload my brush. I'm going to change directions, go up and down. Just fill that area as solidly as I can. And if you get holes like this, reload your brush. Oh, I got some green on my fingers there. Paper towels. Ah! I'm the Hulk. Okay. It's all good. Hulk smash. No, I'm all right. Yeah, everywhere. Whatever. Watercolor is awesome because you can clean it. If you get some areas like this where it's just not dark enough, just drop in a little bit more paint. Just thicken it up. So as this dries, you're going to notice it's going to lighten up a little bit, but overall that should be pretty solid. I've cleaned my brush off again. Now for the gradient wash, again, I'm covering this entire area with water. You're going to notice it's going to be a little tinted orange because I haven't changed my water. That's okay. Not hurting nothing. I'm going to go back to my crimson. Now this time, I'm going to apply the most amount of crimson to the top. Get a little more water on my brush and just pull it down. Pull it down, pull it down, pull it down. Clean my brush off, dry it. And you see these little spots? These are air bubbles. You can pop them just by touching them with your brush. See that air bubble? I'm just touching the corner of my brush to that air bubble. And it disappears. There's another one right here. There we go. So as this dries, it should be a more intense, darker red at the top and a lighter, less intense red closer to our pink down at the bottom. I like to layer this a couple of different times until I'm happy with the way it's looking. Now we're gonna do what's called a variegated wash. We did a flat wash, a gradient wash. My kids like to call it the ombre effect. It's still a gradient. Whatever, you can call it whatever you want. So again, covering evenly with the water. Oops, there's a piece of dirt. If that happens, just take your brush, pick it up, clean it off. All right, I'm gonna do a sunset, because why not? So I'm gonna activate some of my medium yellow here. Pull that yellow down into the bottom. Got a couple of air bubbles there. It's okay, we'll fix that. Bloop. Oh, it's gone. Now I'm gonna get a little bit of orange, put some orange in the middle. That's really dark. So I wanna lighten that up just a little bit. I'm gonna clean my brush off. I'm gonna pull this way. And just gently pull it into the yellow. And up towards the top. Go in that direction. And then I'm gonna add some red up to the top of this. So run some red up here. And you wanna make sure that you keep your brush clean whenever you're doing this. Now that's really thin. I like to have thicker layers, so I would wait for this to dry and then do this 2 or 3 more times to get a nice variation of wash. So there you have it. You've got the 3 ways to apply watercolor: wet on wet, dry on dry, combination, flat wash, gradient wash, and variegated wash. All right, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you for the next time.